YouTube, what's going on? We're back with more of the First Descendant. We got Lepic out, rocking his explosive stacks build. This is a great build that I like to use for mobbing. It's absolutely insane, extremely powerful, with some unique caveats to it to set it apart from some other builds. So if you guys are loving the videos, you guys are appreciating the content, please feel free to turn on those notifications, sub to the channel, drop a like. Alright, I'm going to be going over my Lepic explosive stacks build. To kick things off, we'll just go over just a little bit of the mechanics that I like to use with this build, which allows me to fully spec into a lot of power and throw cooldown out the window. So two things that work for us is the explosive stacks works by shooting ammo. Once a considerable amount of ammo is consumed, a grenade stack is replenished. So the cooldown for this is irrelevant. So even though we're on an insanely high cooldown because of the power modules that we have equipped in this build, it's irrelevant because shooting our weapon regenerates the grenade stack and we're able to fire that off immediately. And again, I utilize two weapons with this build to take advantage of, one, reloading the explosive stack, and then two, taking advantage of the pest control within the secret garden to be able to deal out more damage against bosses when we come across them. So that's the crux behind it. I will show it. The other thing that I utilize this build with is the veteran's tactic. So again, when we're defeating an enemy, we have a 19% chance of recouping a skill cooldown. So I can't really show it in this demo here, but you'll see through the playthrough in the showcase run, as I'm defeating enemies, I'm re-getting, you know, a complete skill cooldown reset, allowing me to, you know, continuously pop my overclock, allowing me to still continuously use my traction grenade, as well as my overkill whenever I need it. So it's extremely nice, and the grenades just absolutely do an insane amount of work. So again, I can't show you the veteran's tactic, but again, as you can see, we're on 3 explosive stacks. We pitch 2 in, 3 in, 65 seconds, and we just fire off our gun and we immediately get them back. So we can just keep spamming it over and over and over again. And again, you can fire that, and I switch over to my secret garden, and as you can see, we can take advantage of the pest control within it. Those are two things to consider. That's why it makes explosive stacks an extremely versatile build, because it's not the cooldown of, you know, the skill, which is insanely high. Again, you saw it like 67 seconds. Our weapon does the cooldown, and we have veterans tactics to support us as well, granting us an instant cooldown when defeating an enemies. And again, the mobs are so thick, we're getting that back very consistently. That's just, again, how explosive stacks is working and why we're able to you know, put some insane modules within the build, which I'll continue to go over once we go over all of these other you know, the reactor's external components. I like to use the burning mechanics reactor. Again, all of our skills are tech based, right? Or our damage ones are tech based, I should say. The overkill and our explosive stacks are grenade throw. Again, the other two are singular, but again, this is just an overclock as a buff, and traction grenade, again, pull them in. So that's why we run this with the mechanics reactor to take advantage of the tech and fire skill critical hit rate, skill critical hit damage. Again, Lepic has a great synergy within his overclock that generates additional skill critical hit damage increase of 60% when we pop the overclock. Again, we get more fire rate when we have this done. We get the additional burn damage, so there's a lot going on with the overclock that synergizes well with the skill critical hit rate, skill critical hit damage. And this is why we would, you know, we do that, because the overclock grants us additional skill critical hit damage. Run this with the 4-piece firebrand set. Again, a lot of range and duration. We want that. We want our, you know, the range of our grenade, the range of our traction grenade to be, you know, pulling as many people in. We want the explosiveness of our grenades to be expanding out to take care of the mobs in a wide range, and the duration of the burn, you know, an uptick on that to just get a little bit more ticks out of the duration of the burn with that. The 4-piece set is also nice. It does grant a decrease in movement speed, but we've offset that within our build. We're very, very speedy within this build. And we'll obviously go through that with the weapons and some of the other modules within the build. But on fire skill, attack against an enemy inflicted with burn related effects. The hit enemy's fire resistance is negative 30%. So they're getting a huge fire resistance debuff on our burn when our overclock is done, and we're just able to really put the hurt on them. When our overkill is active, we take advantage of that. Again, anytime we have our overclock applied, we have that burn going on, we're getting an additional, those enemies inflicted with the burn status effect are receiving a debuff. It's huge. I really like this 4-piece set with Lepic, so that's why we run it. We run this with the core modules, max HP and defense. I run that on of the full set. When it comes to the attributes, again, anything to do with elemental resistance. Again, if you get, you know, HP mods in there, MP module, you know, recovery modifiers, shield recovery modifiers, all that stuff is good. So again, I got the fire resistance max HP on the auxiliary. We've got MP recovery in combat, which I think is like, you know, god tier roll for that, and the shield recovery out of combat. We've got electric resistance and defense on our memory, toxic resistance and max shield on our processor. We've got great survivability. We've got 8,000 HP. We've got almost 70,000 defense. Our shield takes a little bit of a hit because of our ancestor module, so there's definitely gains to be had with a little bit of survivability there, but this build is very, very cushy. I'm a survivability fanatic, so my builds, if I'm not clearing it, if I'm clearing it without dying consistently or getting good times, I'm extremely happy with the build. Arche Tuning path, again, we throw cooldown out the window. We don't need to capstone it. Again, we're going to focus on our critical hit rates and our critical hit damages. Capstoning the, skill power, and then up into the mutant cell for the fire chain catalyst. Again, this, has a fire resistance reduction, as well as granting his fire skill power boost ratio. When it comes to the inversion reinforcements, I like to run this with the emergency antibody. Again, more attribute resistance for survivability. Again, the selective neural stimulation within the recovery. At 45 seconds, we have a set percentage chance to recoup MP. This works really nice with the fellow, so every 45 seconds we're getting a very nice, MP dump back into our bar, which is fantastic because we're constantly spamming those, explosive stacks grenades. And I like to run this with the focus boost. Again, when defeating an enemy, gives me reduced skill cost for 30 seconds up to 5 stacks. Again, the skill cost reduction is great because we're spamming this, the explosive stacks so often. It's nice to have a little bit of a skill cost reduction in there. You could put adrenaline surge to get movement speed in there, but I kind of have weapons that make up for that. So I run this with the focus boost, but the adrenaline surge is another option if you're looking for some mobility, some more speed. Here we went over the fellow, MP fellow, and as you can see it there, every 45 seconds, just like the node in our inversion reinforcement, is recouping about 16% of our max HP. The Descendant module, so we quickly went over the explosive stacks. So I like to run this with the blazing zone, just because when the traction comes up, at least it's doing something, pulling them in, and it's they're getting hit with some serious damage. Again, I would like to. I usually run this with a higher spawn rate, like into the 90s. I'm running this one with maximum damage, the highest damage one I can get out of it. But as you can see, the spawn rate's at 86%. I would like a double gold and something into the 90s for the spawn rate. So it's just, a wish list item. But again, just put my maximum damage one on there, 86%. It does, proc quite often. And it just burns them all as they're pulling them in, as well as getting just nuked by the grenades. Again, we went over explosive stacks. Shooting your weapon generates them back. And, allows you to continuously spam the grenades. Got a lot of range on them, so we're good. And we'll continue to spec fully into range. So again, because I went over this with the veteran tactic on the cooldown, explosive stacks not really tied into cooldown, this allows us to really spec into some heavy power modules. So again, we got our mid-air maneuvering just for our additional module slots that come standard. We've got skill insight, skill concentration, and front lines, coupled with our ancestor module, which has skill critical hit rate, some skill critical hit damage, and some fire skill power boost ratio. This is really nice. Again, I get the kind of the hit on the shields, but again, it doesn't really affect the survivability too much. There's definitely gains to be had. I would like to have these in gold or red, obviously, to continue to uptick the damage that I need to really put the hurt on in this build. So there's definitely gains that can be had with this build, as good as it is right now. The reason why we don't have emergency measures in here, we don't really need it. The goal is to be as high as we can into the skill critical hit rate. As you can see, we're at 99.6. To put anything more into it would just be overkill. And again, it allows me to utilize more into the damage. So I'm almost at a 600%, which is a 6 times multiplier on the damage rate. So that's a really high, really nice synergy rate. And as you can see, we're fully kitted out at the max range as well. So that's why we run it with these. This is the ancestor module that I have. Those are my crit mods. And again, as you're looking at it at max range, you want a maximum amount of range just for our grenades, for our traction grenade, our overkill. So we run that with maximized range and the skill expansion. We got our survivability module in here, which is the spear and shield. I really like this module because of the high defense, and again, it's speccing into another skill boost ratio, or another damage slot, another skill power modifier slot. Going over the Veteran's Tactic, again, killing an enemy just recoups the cooldown instantly of one of our skills, which is huge. And because of that, that allows us to utilize maximize skill. So again, we're able to fully spec into our base skill power boost of almost 88%, but we take that 50% skill cooldown hit. That's why the cooldowns on these are through the roof. But again, it doesn't matter because we've got Veteran's Tactic in our back pocket. And again, the explosive stack is directly tied to a cooldown when firing our weapon. We get a stack back, immediately allow us to toss more grenades at the enemy. So this is what allows us to use maximize skill. I like to back this up with another module, which is the tech skill modifier. Again, the two skills that we're using to deal the damage are tech base. If you wanted to, you could run maximize power on this, and again, the skill, the hit that you would take on the skill cooldown is irrelevant because of Veteran's Tactic. You can do that. I feel like I was just getting a better, again, a skill power damage pool by applying the tech specialist. I've got raw base skill power. We've got fire. Obviously we've got fire power boost ratio in there. So there is options. Again, you can use the maximize power. You can actually use fire specialist as well if you wanted to spec fully into fire skill power boost ratio. So there's a couple of different options you can run within that slot depending on, I guess, whatever level you're kind of running. If you're running against some chill base enemies, the fire specialist might be a good one to run. Those are the options, or those are the modules that I like to run it with, or this is the base one that I like to run it with, and I absolutely love this build. It's insane, so fun to use. So when it comes to the weapon, I run this with a two-piece combo. I want to be 100% clear. My main weapon is the Python. Just because its fire rate is so high, just emptying the clip instantly gives you 3 grenades back. So this is why I run it with the Python with a very high fire rate. You just empty the clip real quick, boom, you've instantly got 3 back. But I also like to swap off into my Secret Garden. Again, it's built for speed. On this build for high mobility, and again with this build with the Secret Garden, why we flip to it, especially when we're in the bossing portion of them, or whenever we can feel comfortable swapping to the Secret Garden, we're able to take advantage of the pest control. So its skill power per stack is at 16% times 3 stacks times the 3 stacks, like 48%. So it's extra 48% skill power boost that we get on this. So again, happens at a 50% trigger rate, but again at max stacks we get an extra 48% skill power. So this is a huge weapon. Again, I'm not big on flip-flopping weapons back and forth, but I do in this instant, especially when I'm comfortable. I know I already have my 3 grenades built. I'll flip to my Secret Garden and I'm able to take advantage of that that unique ability within the Secret Garden, pest control, and again further increase my skill power just by flipping over to this weapon. But I want to be clear, my main is the Python. I keep this up when I'm not able to concentrate or the mobs are thick. I just keep my Python out, clear them all. When I'm comfortable and everything's jiving well, I'll flip over to my Secret Garden, utilize that, and then roll back to my Python to generate more of the explosive stacks. I'm not a big fan of that. That's why usually you'll see me stay on the Python probably more than I should have. So I don't really flip too much over to the Secret Garden. It's more just we're hitting the higher tiered enemies. Again, there's those sub bosses, and then the main boss. You'll see me flip off and then use the Secret Garden to get that extra, to get the pest control stack damage into it. So I'll show both weapons. So with the Python, again, you can see my cores: fire rate, firearm attack, fire rate, 2 sprint speeds for the mobility, firearm attack, multi-hit damage, weak point, and then multi-hit chance. For the Secret Garden, again, 3 sprint speeds. We've got additional damage against Legion of Immortality and the firearm critical hit damage. We've got some weak point damage, some firearm attack, chill attack, and then some firearm critical hit damage with the Secret Garden. When it comes to the modules for the Python, again, I run this built for speed. Again, we're trying to negate the -4% speed deduction that we got within our external components running the Firebrand set, and that's easily made up to, again, within the cores of our weapon. You just saw the sprint speeds that I had built into the Python and to the Secret Garden. and I'm also able to take advantage of more sprint speed just when I'm shooting my weapon, which we're doing this all the time. I hit an enemy, boom, I get an additional 24% movement speed. Fire rates are huge. Keep the fire rate up so that we're able to fire this weapon very quickly to replenish the explosive stacks. Again, we've got good reload time modules on here. We want to have our reload time as low as possible. I run this with Consume Magazine and Recycling Genius. And again, it's not really so much what the weapon's doing. The weapon's not doing very much damage, but again, we're into the multi. We've got the charge amplification for some firearm, action reaction, rifle reinforcements, and some weak point damage. And the most important thing, to make sure you've got your sharp precision shot for fire rate, you got your fire rate up on there, and then again your reload speed is really low, so you're able to just quickly reload it and then continuously spam to get your explosive stacks back. There's nothing really with the unique weapon or with the unique ability that benefits Lepic within this build. Again, it's more toxic. This is kind of a glay or a Freyna weapon, in my opinion. When it comes to the secret garden, again, the modules, it's the exact same thing. We have this brisk walk. If I'm hitting an enemy, at least I'm going to get some movement speed back with it. We've got a lot of it in the build. Everything built for fire rates where we can, in case we get stuck with the weapon, we're trying to fire it. Again, low reload times, and then we just spec into some damage, action reaction, rifle reinforcements, bullet integrations, modules just for some firepower within it. But again, it's more movement speed, fire rates, and reload time modifiers, just in case if you get stuck flip-flopping and you forget where you are, at least your weapon's able to fire or reload quickly no matter what weapon it is. No matter what weapon it is, you're getting a good amount of mobility within the build to negate the negative 5% movement speed and then some. We are very, very speedy. I love it. The mobility is really great within the build. So this is the build I do. The showcase run is visible. I hope you guys use this build. It's extremely fun to use and it's very, very powerful, and one of Lepic's best builds. Enjoy.